Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid. A new week begins. It's a Monday. It's the 21st of October 2024 and these are the stories that we will be highlighting during the course of the show. We'll begin with the 26th constitutional amendment that has been passed both by the National Assembly, the Senate, and has been given the assent by the President of Pakistan. So now it has entered the law. Now there are different parts of this 26th amendment. How is this amendment going to move the current system, whether it be political, judicial or others, is what we will be discussing during the whole course of the show. A lot of details regarding that, but I'd rather ask the necessary detailed questions from my analysts in this regard, and this is going to be what I'll discuss during the first few minutes of the show. Then we'll be talking about what is happening as far as Israel and Palestine is concerned. Today is day 380 of this conflict, and of course we all know what is happening with Lebanon as well, where Israel is pounding Lebanon one way or the other, and the number of attacks is increasing with every passing day. Although the fact is that Anthony Blinken is going again to the Middle East, must have reached Israel by now, but the fact also remains that he is trying, but whether his whatever he is trying to do will prove to be effective or result oriented is something that we will have to see. We all remember Joe Biden's 3-point ceasefire agenda between Gaza and Israel. What happened? Nothing to date. Will it be replicated as far as Lebanon is concerned or not? This is also something that we will see. Also, a special representative of the US was in Lebanon as well, and he also detailed some important things as far as the Lebanon-Israel rift is concerned. This is going to be our second segment. Then we are going to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, the bomb hoax that has a number of bomb hoaxes that have been given to different Indian airlines, and that is creating panic within the Indians, not only within India but also outside of India. More than 90 fake bomb threats have been made against flights operated by multiple Indian airlines this week alone, which is a huge number. Finally, we'll be talking about Elon Musk, who has promised to give away $1 million, and I repeat, $1 million each day until the election that is going to happen in November, to someone who signs his online petition. Prizes have already been awarded to 2 people as far as this $1 million is concerned, and of course these are events that support Donald Trump, because we know that Elon Musk supports Donald Trump, and this also raises questions about the legality of the payments. That is what a lot of analysts are also saying. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns the 26th constitutional amendment in Pakistan. Now the Senate and the National Assembly both have passed this 26th constitutional amendment. It has been given its assent by the President of Pakistan, Asif Ali Zardari Saab, and now it has become law. Also, Speaker National Assembly has now sent letters to the different heads of the political parties as well as to the Chairman Senate for the constitution of the parliamentary committee. So the process of course has started, and it is going to go on till all the necessary details as per the 26th constitutional amendment are realized. You've been joined by 3 guests to discuss that in detail. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios right next to me is Daniyal Sheikh. He's a political analyst. Daniyal, thank you very much to have joined us. And online we've been joined by Irfan Qadir Saab. He's a former Attorney General of Pakistan, and Shehzad Shaukat, who is the President, Supreme Court Bar Association. Let's begin with Daniyal. Daniyal, what are the political benefits of this 26th amendment as far as political stability in Pakistan is concerned?
First of all, it's a very great day in terms of democracy in Pakistan, because it's a step towards strengthening the parliament, and especially where there's in countries where there is democracy, so all the institutions are subservient to the parliament collectively, and the whole genius behind democracy is to have a collective opinion on all major issues. And what I feel now is that before the judiciary there was a big gap between judiciary and the demand of the public, but now there's going to be a bridge in that, in the sense that now it's not going to be the senior most judge, but it's rather going to be the most capable judge who's able to see. For example, there are some judges, the way one of the metric of judging their process is like there are so many judges that have hundreds and thousands of pending cases. So a person like that who is not very active in terms of, he might be very competent, but when it comes to the Chief Justice, I think that because he's also going to function as the Chief Executive of and he's going to control the judiciary of the whole country. So it should be somebody who is very proactive and who can perceive how to dispense justice in advance, and he has to be somebody who is of an active nature, and because it's an executive post, it's not an ordinary judge. So I personally believe that this is going to benefit the masses, because we will be seeing better selections.
All right. I asked about political stability in Pakistan. We know that all the parties took part as far as the adding points to the 26th constitutional amendment is concerned. That includes the PTI as well. Wouldn't it have been better if the PTI would have supported this amendment by voting for it as well? This is my first part of the question. My second part of the question is, how should, now that the 26th constitutional amendment has been put forward, accepted, voted for and made part of the law, how should now the Pakistani political process move forward?
First of all, when you mentioned PTI and its role, so one positivity that I see in this is that they did not turn to the streets, which was the usual process. But in fact, earlier they were the reason that they were giving for turning to the streets and creating a chaos was that there was this constitutional amendment. But now it's proven it was actually to sabotage the visit of the Malaysian premier and the so on and so forth. So that was their agenda, not this, and they were part of the process, which means that they accept the legitimacy of this current setup. So now, and they visited one of Fazlur Rahman's house, they gave their apprehensions many times, and till the last moment they tried to oppose it, which is a democratic norm, and I will appreciate them for doing that. For the first time in the past years since this government has come, they've showed they've shown a democratic mindset, and see, difference of opinion is the beauty of democracy. So for whatever reasons, even if it was just to play to the galleries,
but at least they were part of the process. I think that was important.
Most certainly they were part of the process, and they were actively part of the process, and then they walked out of the parliament, which is also part of democracy, or opposing within the legal and within the democratic norms is something that should be appreciated, and I hope they continue with this way of politics.
But this is a point that you said in the answer, but I'd like to rephrase it. Doesn't this also negate their previous statements that question the legitimacy of the government?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, even earlier, if you see, they used to go around and in public they would say that we don't, this parliament, they would question its legitimacy, but at the same time they were fighting for the Public Accounts Committee, at the same time they were fighting for other privileges that they can get, and at the same time the leader of the opposition they nominated. And because you see, despite whatever they say or whatever claims they make as far as the system is concerned, they're ruling one of the federating units, so they're part of the system. So it's very difficult to be part of the system and then claim that the system is not legitimate. If the system was not legitimate, they would have let go of the government or whatever share of power that the people gave to them. So I don't personally believe that, I believe that whatever they said in the past, they have negated it, and now it's a turn in their politics, and maybe they have realized or they have felt that they have to be part of the system. And as far as this whole the political landscape is concerned after these amendments, like I said earlier, it's the more the parliament is strengthened, the more democracy is going to be strengthened.
What do you foresee basically as far as the political process in Pakistan is concerned? Now this is very important amendment has been passed.
See, there are two things. One, first of all, as far as the we cannot economy is our major issue.
Of course.
Our politics and economy, they cannot, it's like the egg and chicken debate, what came first. So basically now the government gave a message because they showed 2/3 majority. So first of all, the message is very clear that the government is in a very comfortable position. And secondly, the more that parliament is strengthened, the more confidence that the investor is going to have on the system. So basically the whole narrative or agenda that PTI was selling since the start was that this system is not going to complete its term, or the system is not the premier does not enjoy a comfortable majority. So all those claims have been negated.
All right.
And secondly, them being part of this whole entire process and being so active in the process, had they boycotted it, had they turned to the streets, had they said that we don't, this parliament is now, even if they make that claim, it does not come with that same integrity or the same honesty, because they still yesterday They were trying and fighting to somehow sabotage it within the legal
but they
parameters.
did contribute to it, and that is the point that is interesting and important at the same time, that whichever political party was present in the system in Pakistan, they all contributed one way or the other to this
Absolutely.
26th Amendment, and that is very important as far as a point of view that emerges as far as this amendment is concerned. All right. Now, this 12-member special parliamentary committee that is going to be constituted, which will play its role in the new judicial appointment process. We have seen the letters, I mean, that have been sent very recently to the heads of political parties and the Chairman Senate as well for the nomination of the members of this parliamentary committee. With this system implemented in Pakistan, how do you view this as an innovation or as a step in the right direction as far as the judicial process of our country is concerned?
See, one of the greatest example of a constitutional democracy is America. So the founding fathers, the idea in their minds when they were writing the Declaration of Independence, and later on when they were constituting the Constitution, was that there should be a struggle of power within the organs of state, the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament, and they should always, in that struggle, no one branch of government or state should dominate the other. In this scenario, there is going to be a balance of power. So in the past, the judiciary was not accountable to the public in any manner. So now the judges, they will be accountable, their performance will be held accountable in front of the parliament, which is very important. Like I said earlier, one of the biggest complaint from the judiciary that the masses have is they're very lethargic, and the reason could be the whole judicial process, because the constitution, the law, the judge, the legal officer has to follow the law. But still, in that, with due respect, I would still say that there are some judges who are not as actively pursuing for whatever reasons. So when like I said earlier, when selecting the top judges, there had to be a criteria. It couldn't just be left.
So basically what you're trying to say is this performance evaluation of the judges is going to be a stride in the right direction.
Absolutely, like you just see the difference between public sector and private sector, because there's so much accountability in the private sector. If you're not doing your job well, next day you're fired. But whereas in the public sector, there's so much job security that there's, for some people, not all of them, we have very, very responsible judges, I would not blame them, but still we do need this, we did need this, and it's definitely a step forward towards strengthening democracy and strengthening parliament in Pakistan.
What about the constitutional benches? How important is the whole establishment of benches such as these in this day in Pakistan? What kind of relief do you feel the establishment of such benches will give to the common man in Pakistan?
See, first of all, as far as the constitutional benches is concerned, first and foremost, like for example, again, I'm going to give you an example of America. In America, the Supreme Court basically only listens to constitutional matters, because it's the ultimate appellate forum. So what this is going to basically do is it's going to cut down the burden on the judiciary, and like in the district level, we have civil cases and then we have criminal cases, and then different civil judges are appointed to look after them. So there's because you see, sometimes it becomes very difficult. Some cases of constitutional nature, they're so important that they have to be immediately addressed. So putting them on the back burner cannot be, and at the same time there's so many other cases in front of the Supreme Court that it becomes, or the High Courts, it becomes very difficult for them to prioritize. So now, as far as the constitutional cases are concerned, they're going to be dealt with in a much more swift manner.
All right. What about the amendment and how does it change the Judicial Commission of Pakistan in your point of view? And because through the Judicial Commission, how does this amendment, I mean, trying to explain it in another manner, how does this amendment aim to ensure judicial accountability and performance evaluation?
Like I said, now earlier the reference used to be kept anonymous, but now it's going to be in front of the parliament. So if there's some sort of a complaint, basically nobody, they say ultimate power corrupts. So nobody should be given that level of power. Everyone should be under some check and balance, be it the judiciary, be it the chief executive, be it everyone else. So it's going to bring that accountability. See, if a man is honest, he has nothing to hide, or he should not be afraid of anything to be made public regarding him or herself. So it's a step towards that. And I personally believe that it's going to, see, it's not about being a good person or a bad person. It's very important, regardless of what kind of a person the particular person we're talking about is, there has to be some accountability of everyone. That's the whole genius behind a parliament.
All right.
So now I believe that this is definitely a step forward towards achieving that.
What we know that this amendment also makes changes to the Supreme Court suo motu powers. How, in your point of view, will this affect the judicial or the political system in our country?
See, now again I would, see, this is a very thin line on what we can talk when it comes to judiciary, but in the past we have seen former Chief Justices who have in some way overstepped, I would not say abused, but overstepped their judicial powers. See, the whole purpose behind a suo motu power is in dispensing of greater justice. If during the process of investigation or during the process of the prosecution, if there's anything, if there was anything left or any evidence or anything, the Supreme Court or the High Court has the power to take help from any of the state or even the private, from anyone or any institution. They had the power. But we had seen that it's been, basically we saw an overlap in the power of the executive.
All right.
Especially in the past. Like you've seen that one of our former Chief Justices, he was visiting hospitals and he was suspending government officials. So now if this thing is going to happen, then what's the point of an election? What's the point of accountability?
That's
of the
a very
government?
interesting point. I'll continue my discussion with you. We've also been joined by Barrister Safiullah Khan Ghori. Safi, thank you very much to have joined us. Safi, the 26th Constitutional Amendment has been passed and of course is now part of law. How important is this amendment as far as judicial reforms in Pakistan is concerned?
Thank you very much, Omar. Omar, I think this is a big step in the way judicial reforms have taken place, because as I was hearing the guest talk about it as well, that it was necessary to have some sort of judicial reforms. I've been on your shows many times as well, and we've discussed the same thing time and again, that we need some sort of reforms. We cannot have such a slow-paced judicial system. And so this is a massive step in the way it moves forward for two reasons. Firstly, because of the creation of specialized benches, which will then bifurcate the courts and will create special courts or benches for political matters, and then our other matters can then go to other places. That's a very good thing, because what we've seen is that courts become politicized, and as a result of what's happening in the courts, ordinary people cannot get any justice. You know, I've experienced this myself many times. I would go to the court for a case and I would be told that today is Nawaz Sharif's case, today is Imran Khan's case, so no hearing for you. And that's what the problem was, that because I'm obviously not a big name leader, therefore me or my clients are not treated in the same manner as big name leaders are. And that was creating this innate sense of injustice within the entire judicial system. Everybody who is in any manner working with the judicial system is an effective of this problem. So that's one issue. The second problem, which is perhaps even more important, is the fact that there was no accountability for the judges. I mean, the fact that if somebody becomes a judge once, there would be no accountability whatsoever, no way to check if the judge is even coming on time. And we have said this many times, that the judges in their court would not behave like judge in a court, they would behave like king in the court. They would come whenever they want, they would leave whenever they want, they would treat a case however they want. There was no sense of any accountability on how they would do something. Now, for the first time, at the very least, there is a committee including everyone, including judges, including politicians, including lawyers. Everybody's going to sit together and figure out how good a judge is, how many cases have they dispensed. So it's a very simple question, right? This is something that I ask you, and I would ask any Pakistani. Who should be the Chief Justice of Pakistan? Somebody who's the eldest in age, or somebody who has performed the most? So now, because we have a performance criteria that has been set out very clearly, the best performing judge will be the Chief Justice of Pakistan, not the oldest judge. And what we have seen in the past, very unfortunately, is I'm not referring to this Chief Justice or even the one before him, but in the past we have seen that there were Chief Justices who were so old that they were struggling with health, and as a result of their ill health, they could not attend to the courts at all, and they would just ignore work. And for some reason, our legal system was okay with it. For some reason, our legal system thought that a judge who has gone senile with age or has been unable to maintain their health should be sitting at the helm of affairs. Why? Why should we not have able-bodied, energetic people at the helm of affairs?
Safi, my next question also is concerning this 26th Amendment. How does this amendment, in your point of view, change the composition or the powers of the Supreme Judicial Council?
I think it's very obvious, right? So the Supreme Judicial Council earlier was composed almost entirely of the Supreme Court judges themselves. Now, for the first time, we are seeing that the special parliamentary committees have been included, which also take away the power of the Supreme Judicial Council to a degree, in the sense that now they will be appointing at least some of the judges of the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Judicial Council itself now has a more broad inclusion of other people, in the sense that now there is a senior lawyer who has at least 15 years standing in the Supreme Court, which I think is a fantastic thing. So it's a more inclusive process and more democratic. Now, one can argue that the Supreme Court should not be democratic. One can argue that the Supreme Court should be authoritative and should be a continuity of how it was. But what system are we talking about continuing, Omar? We're talking about continuing a system that was given to us by the Brits before our partition, and we have just been clinging on to it without any sense of responsibility whatsoever. And it's very, very obvious and very, very clear to anyone who's watching the judicial history of Pakistan that our judicial history has failed. This is a Supreme Court that has been in cahoots with military dictators in the past. This is a Supreme Court that has overstepped its boundary, that has been unable to understand what other institutions are for. Like, for instance, I'll take you back to something that Khwaja Asif said yesterday, that for some reason the Supreme Court, and because of the way it has been composed, is under the impression that it is the only institution in Pakistan, as if the parliament does not matter, as if the election commission does not matter, as if the security forces of this country does not matter. They have been given this impression, and this impression rightfully so, by the way the constitution was worded. So now when we are wording it clearly and defining boundaries, I don't really see what problem anyone could have.
Thank you very much, Safi, to have joined us. That was Barrister Zia-ul-Haq Ghori, a judicial expert and of course political expert as well, joining us on this discussion on the 26th constitutional amendment. Last question to you, Daniyal, and that concerns the political and electoral system that exists in Pakistan. Do you feel the 26th constitutional amendment is the beginning of a change for the better as far as these systems are also concerned? Secondly, in your point of view, how does this amendment address the principle of separation of powers?
You see, basically when it comes to separation of powers, the whole idea or the whole concept is separation of power between the executive, the judiciary and the parliament. But the parliament collectively takes precedent over all the other organs of state. So in that, if you look at it in that respect, I don't think that the whole idea, basically it's between the executive and the judiciary, especially in Pakistan, that there was a conflict of power. As far as the parliament is concerned, the more we strengthen it, I don't think it affects the whole idea of balance of power, because the power that the parliament exercises has to be collective. Like for instance, like the Judicial Commission is concerned, it's going to have 8 members. It's not going to be 1 member. So it's very different. Like even the whole idea, see now the government of Pakistan is not just the Prime Minister, it's the Prime Minister and his cabinet. So it's collectively whatever decisions that the Chief Executive makes, he has to make collectively, other than the day-to-day affairs of running the government. When major policy matters are concerned, they have to be brought before the, and although in the past we have seen a very so-called democratic leader who would pass things without even letting his members of his federal cabinet seeing them, and they would sign those letters, and
But anyways, the fact is, Daniyal, that we are entering a new era with the passing of the 26th constitutional amendment. I hope, and I sincerely hope many others like yourself and others do, that this will pave the way for a better form of governance, and this will pave the way for a more balanced system and approach as well. This is what I feel.
I'll just end my whole my point of view. Basically, see, now that there's a larger consensus that we are going to run our system through democracy. So democracy, the parliament is the fundamentals of democracy.
True.
It's the most integral component.
Agreed.
So whatever power that the parliament is given through the constitution, see, because our country, we're a bit, although most of our system, we're following the British system, but we're a bit different from Britain, because we have a written constitution, whereas Britain does not. So in Britain, the ultimate power resides with the parliament. So our because it's an Islamic country, so we have to keep a check and balance on the parliament as well, because we believe that the ultimate supremacy is of the Almighty. So having said that, I personally believe that this is definitely a step towards strengthening the parliament. Like for instance, 58 to be another powers, you know, the passage of time came back to the parliament. So ultimately, our whole purpose is to create a stable environment, both political and economic. So and this goes hand in glove, and this is the whole purpose.
I think this is a very important purpose that has now been implemented through the 26th constitutional amendment, and we look forward. I mean, I look forward to good times, and I hope you too.
And one last thing that I would like to add. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, please go ahead.
Basically, one of the thing that we there's a major problem in our country, and we're going towards addressing it, and that is that individuals matter too much. Now it's not the individuals, it's the institution of the parliament.
That is very important. The institution reigns supreme, and that is what needs to be the case. Thank you very much, Daniyal, Sheikh, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, and that concerns the Israel-Palestine, Israel-Lebanon, Israel-Syria, Israel-Yemen conflict. Today is day 380 of the Palestine-Israel conflict. We've been joined by Shazia Cheema. She's a foreign affairs expert. Shazia, thank you very much to have joined us. Shazia, my first question concerns the resolution 1701. Now, U.S. Special Envoy Amos Hochstein did a news conference in Beirut a couple of hours back after having talks with senior Lebanese officials, and he says linking Lebanon's fate to other conflicts in the region is not in the interest of the people of Lebanon. He adds that this resolution to the conflict between Hezbollah and Israel, that was of course referring to the 2016 conflict between both the sides, is possible, but the situation has escalated out of control as they feared it could. Could this conflict be controlled through Article 1701?
No, I don't think so. It can be controlled by that article or any other resolution, because the point is, this is the same statement which Netanyahu gave when he assassinated Hassan Nasrallah and bombarded the 7 apartment buildings and hundreds of civilians and families, children. He gave the same statement that Hezbollah, our enemies, Hezbollah, and the Lebanese people are just on the way. So just get away from the harm's way, and you will be not harmed. That's what America is saying now. After providing this third anti-missile system, when Iran attacked, Iran reacted to the assassination attack on Israel, and the world has seen that how capable Iran is, and Israel is vulnerable in form of the external attack. So now they are trying to create a different scenario in which they can keep the face by saying that the Lebanese people, the Palestinian people, the Syrian people are not Hezbollah, are not Ansarullah, are not Hamas. So our enemy is just Hezbollah, Hamas, and all these terrorists. And that's what they are trying to create. Nobody wants to de-escalate this conflict.
And in the whole context of all of this, they are murdering, and they are, creating an aura of genocide. They've already had this in Palestine, and they are now trying to create or replicate it in Lebanon as well.
Yeah, of course. And after Yahya Sinwar's murder, his assassination, there is an opportunity for Netanyahu to double down the escalation, and he can easily say that for 1 year we were looking for Yahya Sinwar. We destroyed the Gaza. We make the Gaza into rubbles, and we wanted to find Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of October 7 attack. Now we have found it. We have murdered him. So our revenge has been fulfilled, and now we want to de-escalate and we want a ceasefire. But right after the assassination of Yahya Sinwar, Netanyahu said that it's just the beginning of the end. So they don't want to Netanyahu has made promises of Nakba. He wanted to create Judea from the Euphrates to Nile, and also for US, this is a window of opportunity for neocons and new liberals, the Pentagon new liberals, to attack on Iran, because Iran is not their de facto IMF colony. Iran is predominantly sovereign. So they just want to get rid of these two things once and for all, and all other things are basically the pretext of not going for a ceasefire, because after Yahya Sinwar's murder, this could be the best opportunity for Israel to create a win-win situation and tell the world that we wanted to kill Yahya Sinwar. We were looking for him, and now we have achieved that thing, and we want a ceasefire. But instead of that, Netanyahu is saying that this is the beginning of the end. So basically, nobody is looking for a ceasefire. Yahya Sinwar will agree to the ceasefire.
It's a very
Hezbollah.
true for the moment that Israel is trying to look for a ceasefire. We've been joined in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, by Dr. Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq. He's the director of IRI. Thank you very much, Zia Sahab, to have joined us.
Thank you.
Zia Sahab, Shazia was alluding to a ceasefire, whether it be in Gaza, whether it be in Lebanon. Now, as per reports that have been published by Axios News, Israel has sent the White House a list of demands that it wants fulfilled before it will even consider a ceasefire in Lebanon, and that includes freedom for its air force to operate in Lebanese airspace, and for the Israeli military to be allowed to carry out active enforcement in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah. Will this be implemented somehow, some way? Will there is the current situation, I'm not going towards Gaza, I'm currently concentrating on Lebanon, will the situation de-escalate in your point of view?
See, Israel is not interested in any peace deal. This is the strategy of Israel, that Israel will attack when Israel requires. There should not be any moral, ethical or strategic sanction on Israel to doing so. So Israel can have little bit pressure from United States, and Israel has placed this list of demands just to indicate that we will attack when we will feel that we have to attack. So there is no strategy of Israel for any type of peace deal. It is clear that Israel's brutality is achieving its ends, its goals, but Israel is still not ready to accommodate any human attitude to address the situation. So Israel will continue its brutality. United States of America can influence Israel, but the situation in United States of America, and due to the coming election, again there are Israeli lobbies, and both the candidates, they are in struggle to get
as much of votes from
that lobbies. So they are actually the American government, the American opposition, American lobbies, American policy makers. They are not trying to convince the Israeli government to stop brutality. They are trying to please the Israeli government, and for that purpose they are legitimizing Israel's attacks.
All right. Coming to you, Shazia, I mean, let's continue to talk a little bit about the ceasefire. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is starting his 11th visit to the Middle East, just to diffuse attention. Now, this is post Yahya Sinwar's assassination. Do you feel he will be able to achieve something this time, or is it just some kind of face-saving maneuver?
For sure, some kind of face-saving maneuver, but it's now even hard to keep the face even. It doesn't matter how many times Blinken go to Israel. You cannot stop an active genocide by abating and aiding a genocide. America is actively participating in transporting whatever Israel needs all those bunker busters and all the ammunition, all the uh, everything which has been, even the intelligence. So all the support to continue this genocide in Gaza and the conflict in Lebanon, US is party. So I don't know for how long they can keep their face just by playing this farce out in open, again and again and again. I mean, a week or two ago, you people send anti-missile system to Israel, and now you want to have this ceasefire. That's why they are creating this narrative that these terrorists are the separate thing. So our enemies are these so-called terrorists, and the civilian public, it's their own duty to get away from the harm's way. And nobody knows that how they are supposed to get away from the harm's way when they are living in a conflict zone. So where they're supposed to go, and if they try to go somewhere, then again Israel bombard them, even when they are trying to run from the conflict zone. So this is some
That is so true, Shazia, that where, as far as Gaza is concerned, the people don't know where to move, where to go. And this has been happening, the to and fro of the displacement of the Palestinians has been happening since the last couple of months. And this is a deliberate attempt by Israel to kill, to massacre as many as possible and to create havoc for these people, so that if they don't die by the bullet, they at least die of disease or lack of water or lack of other issues. Thank you very much, Shazia Anwar Cheema Sahaba, to have joined us, foreign affairs expert Shazia Anwar Cheema joining us online for this Israel-Palestine conflict. Dr. Zia, the US has deployed advanced missile defense systems and troops to Israel as tensions with Iran has now reached new heights. Lloyd Austin, who is the defense secretary in the US, says the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Advanced Anti-Missile System, or the THAAD missiles, are now in place in Israel, but he declined to say whether it was operational. These missiles were operational. Does this signal an imminent attack on Iran in your point of view, and what could that mean for the region as well?
I think region is witnessing total domination of Israel.
Okay.
The strategy of Iran in Lebanon and in the Middle East is reaction. Their reaction is very calculated and very controlled reaction. But the initiative is in the hands of Israel and United States. And their initiative is brutal, and their initiative is holistic and comprehensive. But there is no other consideration. The only one consideration at present in the Middle East by the United States and by the Israel is to protect and defend the Israeli ends, because the power is in their hands.
So this means, Dr. Zia, that things are not going to move in the right direction anytime soon, or maybe in the near future as well. I'd just like to give some examples. Let's come to the West Bank, occupied West Bank. 11,400 Palestinians have been arrested since the 7th of October last year. Several towns, villages across the occupied West Bank have been stormed overnight. Just last night, to give you an example. Toxic gas is being used on the settlers and the Palestinians who are living in the occupied West Bank. And of course, this is specifically on those farmers who are harvesting the olive crop. There is a deliberate attempt, Dr. Zia, I feel, to kill the Palestinians one way or the other, whether it be direct killing through bullets or by any other maneuvering. And this killing, using of toxic gas in olive fields is just another of the examples. What is the end game in your point of view when it comes to the West Bank, occupied West Bank, when it comes to Palestine at least? What is the Israeli end game?
As I have already mentioned, that here again, it is the play of the power. There is no humanity. There is no human consideration in the government of Israel about any type of human feelings. They have only one understanding, that Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs, they are the enemies of Israel. Their existence is a continuous threat for the Israel. So they are trying to eliminate, whether it should be direct attacks on them or it should be indirect attacks on them. They are attacking them, they are destroying their homes, they are destroying their fertilizers. They are not letting them to live. And Israelis are considering even innocent children as dangerous as a combat Palestinian. So the situation, humanitarian situation in Gaza is very dangerous, and this is one side of the story. And the most sad side of the story is that Israel is doing whatever is in their mind appropriate to protect the Israeli interest, but the whole world is silent.
All right.
There's no reaction, no humanitarian organizations, no international organizations, no associations of countries and leaders of the world. They are reacting on this situation. The whole world has left.
I think, Dr. Zia, there I beg to differ a little bit. Organizations are reacting, but the basic implementation of the reaction is not happening. The reaction is coming from many different countries, even in Europe. Even Pakistan has been very proactive as far as highlighting this. But the fact is that the whole issue lies in the implementation of a process, whether it be through ceasefire or any other process that could lead to an end to this genocide, to this crimes against humanity. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq Saab, DG to have joined us. I have seen you after a very long time.
Thank you very much.
And I hope that this will be the first of many such encounters. Let's come to our last two stories very quickly. The first concerns a bomb hoax or bomb hoaxes that have been given to different Indians and Indian airlines across the world. Now 90 fake bomb threats have been made against flights that have been operated by multiple Indian airlines this week alone, and this has been reported by the Indian media on Sunday. And of course, this sparks fear amongst passengers, and there's global delays. And this is not just relegated to India, this is also relegated to Europe, which is also relegated to other parts of the world. At least 30 bomb hoaxes were made on Saturday alone. At least 20 more threats were made to different airlines on Sunday. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk, we all know who he is. He's the one who holds the gates to X or Twitter, if we can say that. He has promised to give away $1 million each day. I repeat, $1 million each day until November's election to someone who signs his online petition. The first prize has already been awarded at an event supporting Donald Trump, but it has also raised questions about the legitimacy, the legality of these very payments. But does Elon Musk care? I don't think he will. Trump, in fact, has said that if he is elected, he is going to appoint Elon Musk to head a government efficiency commission. So let's see how things bode for Elon Musk. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new segments and stories that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.